Today we are going to talk about measuring to the nearest fourth inch. On my screen you'll see a ruler that has been broken down specifically to focus on the section between 0 inches and 1 inch. And we're going to talk about the markings that are between that 0 inch mark and that 1 inch mark today. And so as you think about measurement today, I want you to put on your cap to focus in on fractions, because fractions will actually help us as we navigate measuring to the nearest fourth inch today. If you have a ruler handy, I would recommend grabbing that ruler. And please, again, we are focusing on inches. So if you have a ruler that displays inches, I'd recommend grabbing that at this time. So looking at my magnified portion of this ruler, you'll notice that I have various marks. And today we're going to break the inch from 0 to 1 into quarters or into fourths. And so if you think about this section, I'm going to grab my marker and I'm going to have us break down these sections into fourths. So if you notice, we have a fourth of the inch here. Then we have another fourth of the inch here, which would be 1/4, 2/4. And then we have another fourth, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. And finally, we have another fourth, which if you think about our discussions in the past about equivalent fractions, 1 is equal to 4/4 in this case. So the whole is equal to 4/4 or 4/4. So as we think about our 4 sections within 1 inch, we are now going to apply a fraction to the marking so that as you're measuring, you can decide, yes, my object that I'm measuring is closest to the 2/4 marking, or my object is closer to 3/4 of an inch. And so I'm going to take my marker, and as we discussed earlier, this is 1/4 of the inch. So I'm going to write 1/4 at this mark. You'll notice this mark here is 1/4. So thinking about the pattern, here in the middle, we would have 2/4. And again, I want us to think about equivalent fractions. 2/4 is also equivalent to 1/2. Right now we're at 1/2 an inch. Then my next mark would be 3/4 of an inch. Again, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. And then finally, the whole inch is 4/4. So even if I'm measuring to the nearest fourth of an inch, I could measure to a whole inch because it's still 4/4, or so on and so forth. And so as you think about these markings, I'm going to go back to my top ruler and I'm going to highlight these markings for you as well. So we were just focused in on this section. And so I'm going to mark, this is 1/4, this would be 2/4, 3/4, and then we have 4/4 at 1 inch. Then we have 1 and 1/4, 1 and 2/4, 1 and 3/4, or 2 inches. Then we have 2 and 1/4 inch, 2 and 2/4, 2 and 3/4, or 3 inches. I'll do one more section. So we're at 3 inches and 1/4, 3 and 2/4, 3 and 3/4, and then we're at the 4 inch mark. And the pattern would continue on. So hopefully this gives you an idea of the additional markings between each inch, and it breaks it down into quarters. We will continue to discuss measuring to the nearest fourth inch each day, and this will be an important lesson to have in the back of your mind as we work through measurement. Thank you for listening.